We have an excellent keynote for you today. We have Beshad Behzadi from Google. He's the director of Conversational Search, and I honestly can tell you, having seen a similar presentation he's done, he is going to blow you out of the water with a live demo that is just will rock your world and open your eyes to some of the great things that are going to be going on in search and that are going on with search. So if you please give him a big welcome, bring him up on stage.
Hi everybody, good morning. So my name is Beshad. I'm at Google for 10 years now, working on search always. I have been actually working on ranking for the first 7 years, and in the past 3 years I'm mostly working on areas which we actually call it future of search, conversational search, now on tap, and context. And that's actually something which I will be showing pretty much lots of that in my talk today. But also generally I would like to show you what we think in Google where the search is moving and where we are basically strategically and directionally investing more. So yes, the topic of the talk is future of search. I typically often, when I want to think about future, I think it's good to look at some of the science fiction movies which were imagining future so that we see what they were doing and then see where we are actually at today. And so this is a Star Trek movie, Captain Kirk talking to his computer. Let's actually start by quickly see a few seconds of this video.
Millions of people have switched to Sprint this past year. And to
That's how I get
celebrate,
paid.
we're extending our 50% offer so you can save on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. Now save $200 instantly when you get the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 or GS6 and trade in your smartphone. So switch today.
Library computer.
History files. Subject, former Governor Codus of Tarsus IV, also known as Codus the Executioner. After that, background on actor Anton Caridian.
Working. Kodos the Executioner. Summary. Governor of Tarsus IV, 20 Earth years ago, invoked martial law, slaughtered 50% of population Earth colony that planet. Burned body found when Earth forces arrived. No positive identification. Case closed. Detailed information follows. On stardate 2794.7.
Stop.
Kodos.
Information on Anton Caridian.
Director and star of traveling.
So basically,
company
the
of
concept
actors,
was that
sponsored by
you ask a
Galactic.
question to a computer and you get answers, and pretty much the range of the question was quite big. 50 years later, last year with movie Her, there was something reasonably similar. So let's also look into a little bit of that movie.
Mr. Theodore Twombly, welcome to the world's first artificially intelligent operating system. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Are you social or antisocial?
I guess I haven't been social in a while.
How would you describe your relationship with your mother? Thank you. Please wait as your operating system is initiated.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Samantha. Good morning, Theodore.
Good morning.
You have a meeting in 5 minutes. You want to try getting out of bed?
You're too funny.
Okay, good, I'm funny. I want to learn everything about everything.
I love the way you look at the world.
How long before you're ready to date?
What do you mean?
I saw in your emails that you'd gone through a breakup.
Well, you're kind of nosy.
So what was it like being married?
There's something that feels so good about it.
Okay, so these two movies with 50 years difference, both of them are imagining future, and both of them actually are imagining that future of some machine which you're talking to, and you're getting answers, and you're getting help through that. What's interesting is actually, so Star Trek is actually imagining like 200 years in the future. Movie Her is only imagining 20 years in the future. So there's a natural question, is that actually the future of search? So I think my talk today, I can also from now tell you the conclusion, which is I'm nearly going to say kind of. So we're really moving into such kind of experiences. And I personally think that it's not 20 years in the future, but it's much sooner that that's arriving. I've been doing lots of demos today, and hopefully the god of demos with me, because these are all live demos. But the objective of these demos is also to show that how close we are, how how pieces are really being built to have that experience being ready for that future. So, but then again, let's quickly, before talking about that, let's look into the past. 98, Google search results, web results, blue links, and simpler algorithm than what we have today. Lots of things has changed since then. I guess all of you are experts in this area, and you can, you know, many of the things that we have been doing. But I think what's interesting is that many people actually outside, like my normal friends, tell me, hey, what do you guys do with this many number of people working on search? Search is not changing really. But actually search is really, really changing over all these years. This graph is kind of showing some of the bigger highlights of changes which have been happening to the search, and I don't have the 2015. I think Now on Tap should be there, and a few other things there. But I guess the goal of this graph is not just to read for you through the different labels which are there, but just to say that lots of changes have been happening. I actually selected few of them to just highlight. In my opinion, they are one of the really big changes which has happened. One is in 2002 when synonyms were introduced. So this was from what moment users did not necessarily need to exactly type what terms are in the document, so in the web page. So you can, for example, we could understand that CS is computer science in some context in PhD admissions, and if you talk about equity funds, then CS, the same word, is Credit Suisse. So that's kind of a big change because it makes the retrieval much easier for the users. The other big change was universal search. This was in 2007 when we started to actually inject different types of results. In this case, there is image and news. And now we have to rank different types of results, not only web pages, but you have videos, images, and the whole problem becomes much harder because we kind of have to start to compare apples and oranges. And then in 2012, another big change happened in Google, which was the introduction of knowledge graph. So knowledge graph is when we start to actually understand things and when we start to think about things as things and not as strings of characters. For example, a query like Kings, before knowledge graph, Google really was thinking about it as more like K-I-N-G-S. And with knowledge graph, we start to understand that Kings can mean three different things, either the ice hockey team, the NBA team, and the TV show. And that's how there are those knowledge cards can be shown depending on the query. And then if based on the rest of the context of query, for example, if it's LA Kings, you understand that this is the ice hockey team, I guess. So this knowledge graph actually is being used a lot in many different parts of the features that Google is building, also in ranking, and it's growing in all dimensions. These numbers, each time I talk, I have to actually make sure that I update these numbers because they are growing. Today we have 2 billion entities, 54 billion facts, and 38 types of entities. And the types are things like politicians, music albums, football players, TV actors, universities, countries. So for each of those things, we kind of know what type is it, and then there is links between those nodes to say that how two entities are related, and those nodes are basically, those edges are basically facts. Okay, but today's talk is about future. What's next? I think the most important things to think about next is that we have to really realize that the world is changing, or let's say it better, the world has changed. The big change which is happening, which is affecting us a lot, is the fact that the world has becoming more and more increasingly mobile. So in 2015, the number of searches on phones and tablets was more than desktops. That change happened, and it happened in 2015, and the graphs are in a way that the difference of desktop and mobile is growing. So more and more mobile is becoming the primary place where searches are happening. So it is very important when you think of the future and when you want to build a future, you build something for mobile. When we think about mobile, we normally, of course, mean these devices, smartphones. The other types of mobile devices are also coming slowly. Of course, number-wise, they're much, much less, but they share all some property, which is they move with you, and they know a little bit about the context of where you are, and they can help you in not only at your in your office or in your working room, but throughout the day and in different places. And that's a big change. And of course, with the Internet of Things, everything is becoming more and more connected, and you will be talking more and more to devices at home even. And talking about talking, so these devices, these mobile devices, are really making users to use more and more speech. So another thing which I can share with you is that voice search is actually growing faster than type search, and the ratio of voice searches is growing quite fast. And it's actually interesting because I always try to I look at for the reasons which that's happening, and I think from my point of view, the top reason is that actually voice search starts to work, the speech recognition. Some 2 years ago, the error rate of speech recognition was something 25% or something like that. And so basically every 4 words, one of them was wrong. Today is 8%, and this 8% is across all the queries which we hear from all the users. So it means that if I'm in a good place and well, I mean, today in this big room with Mike, I'm not sure how good would that be qualified. But if I'm in a quiet room and I'm talking to, it should be less than 8%. So it's kind of works. And so I have many friends which told me that, hey, it doesn't work for me. And I said, no, you have tried it 2 years ago. Give it a try another time. So hopefully what I'm claiming today will be reflected in my demos. And if it did, then, and if you were thinking that voice search doesn't work, voice recognition, just give it a try. Maybe you tried it a year or 2 ago, and now things has changed a lot. I think the other thing is that there are lots of scenarios where speech recognition where voice search is actually the best way of interactions. For example, if you're driving, of course, your hands are busy, and same way that if you're cooking, on the go. So there are many scenarios where that's an interesting way of interaction. And also, actually, it's becoming more and more acceptable, like by people. I think a few years back, people had more and more, this guy is talking to his phone, he's strange. But now it's actually normal that if I'm with my friends and, not necessarily myself, of course, I work on that, but if you see people and they have a question, they just ask Google or that, hey, what's the capital of Burkina Faso, if between them they want to just get an information. People are quite likely to use voice whenever it's feasible, possible. So some consequence of using voice is that people start to actually use much more natural language queries. When you type in the search box on desktop, if you want to ask for weather tomorrow Paris, you type weather tomorrow Paris, or most people type that. But when you talk, all of a sudden you might say, okay, Google, can you tell me how's the weather going to be tomorrow in Paris? This actually looks very natural, and we see lots of longer queries, lots of very natural language queries. So it is, again, very important that we invest on natural language understanding and basically make these types of searches to work better. It's actually interesting because people really do things like, hey, good morning, how is the weather today? And again, I cannot imagine that anyone goes to and type in the search box. But these things really happen frequently in the voice search on mobiles. Another change of the mobile world is, of course, apps. So the needs of users are not necessarily on the web, but also on the apps. And in many scenarios, apps are actually providing better experiences for mobile. So it is important for when you want to build that future to consider this, to take this in consideration and make sure that you help users with both apps and web. So with all of that, then, what's the future of search? So the future of search, indeed, is to build the ultimate assistant. And we have been working on this for a couple of years now, and we are really working more and more in this direction. And this ultimate assistant is going to be an assistant which should understand the world so that it can answer your questions about the world. Should understand you and your world because it's my assistant, so it should help things with things which is related to me. And then it should understand the context so that it can help me better and in a more natural way. It should be there to assist me whenever I need it, wherever I am, and it should help me to get things done. It should also proactively let me know what should I do from time to time. So that was actually, I forgot to remove this. That was actually all the slides I had. Maybe I have one more slide there, and from now I just go and start talking to my mobile for the next 45 minutes. So, but maybe that slide was what I was. My demos will be in different parts, and I will show you first the answering capabilities. Then I will show you some answerings about me, and then apps, actions, context and conversations, and some with now on tap. Okay, so these demos are all live. They might fail, and be nice. Okay, so the first thing I show you is my password. Okay, yeah, let's start by answers, right? I start by simpler questions, and then I go to some harder ones. What is the population of San Jose?
Population of San Jose was 998,500 in 2013.
So that's an example of just basically an entity and a property of an entity that we ask a question. Show me restaurants in San Jose.
Here are the listings for restaurants.
So this is another a little bit more complex one with some listings. Roster for 49ers.
The roster for San Francisco 49ers includes Colin Kaepernick, Jared Hayne, and others.
So this is another type of lists of answers. So these are more kind of top type of questions. So let's, we actually have invested a lot in making more long tail types of questions to be answered. So let's see some of them. For example, let's start by something like, show me a list of cocktails with vodka.
Cocktails frequently mentioned on the web include Bloody Mary, Cosmopolitan, Screwdriver, and others.
What are the ingredients of Bloody Mary?
Bloody Mary ingredients.
So it's good, it's helping us. Which Mary was called Bloody Mary?
According to Wikipedia, Mary I was the Queen of England and Ireland from July 1553 until her death. Her executions of Protestants led to the posthumous sobriquet Bloody Mary. She was the only child of Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, to survive to adulthood.
Okay, let's change to another type of more longer tail type of answers. Show me the list of rides in Six Flags Magic Mountain.
Six Flags Magic Mountains rides include Twisted Colossus, Goliath, and others.
So there's one here called Superman Escape from Krypton. What is the max speed for Superman?
Superman Escape from Krypton's max speed is 100 miles per hour.
So you see that this is not anymore how old is Barack Obama or what's the population. This is more like the longer tail type of question, the max speed of some ride in an amusement park. Or something like, and what is the height restriction?
You must be at least 4 feet 0 inches tall to ride Superman Escape from Krypton.
So I live in Zurich. Actually, I know how much 4 feet is, but how much is 4 feet in centimeters?
4 feet equals 121.92 centimeters.
So that's kind of a bit more longer tail type of questions, like kind of rides and height restriction, max speed, things like that. So the main point there is really the scope of the answers is growing. Then there is like a more complex type of answers. For example, when there is some composition happening. For example, how tall is the actor who played Chewbacca?
Peter Mayhew is 7 feet 2 inches tall.
So we have to first find the actor who played Chewbacca and then say how tall is he. It's actually a real search query. There's another similar ones people ask frequently. How tall is the husband of Khloe Kardashian?
Lamar Odom is 6 feet 10 inches tall.
Okay, so now let me show you actually some of the more natural language type of queries. So something like, okay, Google, can you tell me how is or what was the score of Barcelona in the last game in Champions League?
Barcelona beat Arsenal 2-0.
So note that actually in the middle, even I changed my query a little bit. I said how is and then what is, and then I used rather a long query, but that still was understood. Or something like, okay, Google, I'm going to Tahoe this weekend. How is the weather?
This weekend's forecast for Lake Tahoe is 9 degrees with rain.
So note that, again, this is a rather a natural language sentence. Of course, there is really a lot more that we need to do in this direction, but we are making the right steps into understanding more and more of longer and more natural language type of questions. Okay, so that was about the answers. And now the next part of my demos will be about assistant answering things about me. So now I'm traveling. I'm based actually in Zurich office. So I'm in a hotel. I can just say, OK, Google, where is my hotel?
Hotel Zico, Mountain View is located at 200 El Camino Real, Mountain View, California 94040, United States.
When is my next flight?
Lufthansa Flight 9053 from SFO to Fra leaves at 1:45 p.m. on March 3rd.
What is the address of my work?
Here is a map of the area near your work.
So now this was about some of the information. Now let's look, for example, if I want to search something in my email. Show me my emails from Danny Sullivan.
No matching emails found in Gmail.
Interesting. Show me my emails from Danny Sullivan.
No matching emails found in Gmail.
I deleted all of your emails. Okay, so we can give it another try and with another formulation. Show me my emails about SMX West.
No matching emails found in Gmail.
I think most likely I'm not logged in or something is broken. Anyway, this is just to show that this is real. It can fail. I think one thing actually which hopefully you noticed so far is that the speech recognition so far hasn't failed. And that's actually maybe one of the most important messages I wanted to give in this talk. Yeah, I couldn't search my emails. Let's see actually whether I can search my pictures. Show me my pictures of dolphins.
Here you go, some matching pictures.
So I went with my team to an offsite where we took pictures with dolphins, and this is my pictures. I actually didn't take them with this mobile, but then again, and I didn't tag anything. It's called "This is a dolphin," so everything is just happening automatically for me, and so I'm saving actually lots of time. If I wanted to just find those pictures in other ways, then it was kind of much more time-consuming. A bit similar to that. Show me my pictures of bullfighting.
Check out these pictures.
I'm definitely not a fan of bullfighting, but it's just to show you that this is the understanding, the image understanding technology is kind of actually reasonably good, or it's really moving again in the good direction. And again, here I did not, this is a picture taken 2 years ago for the only one time I went to this event. I don't like to go again, but yeah, so that kind of works. Show me my pictures of Guinness.
Showing pictures matching your request.
Yeah, so this is in September. Maybe you recognize Amit here. Yeah, basically, again, just the image recognition is helping, and then getting answers from, these pictures, of course, are visible only to me. So these are answers only for me. So let's now try another thing, for example, the calendar. When is my next meeting with Alex Bailey?
No matching events found.
Okay, so I think I'm logged out in somewhere here, so this is also perhaps failing for the same reason. So let's move to the next part of my demos. I want to show some actions. So actions is basically to help you get things done, and And you can do things, of course. I mean, these are simple things you all know, but it's just to say that in making that ultimate assistant, you really want things to happen as well. So you need to be able to do things like call Cascal restaurant.
Calling Cascal.
So that's basically a call. That's an action, which is something is happening for me. It's not necessarily an information-seeking query. Okay, let's stop the call. Or I can say something like, book a table for Friday, 8 p.m. for 5 people in Cascal restaurant. Book a table at Cascal for Friday, 8 p.m. for 5 people. Okay, one more failure. Maybe I should change my, can I get my backup phone, please? Sorry. Just to make sure if there's more failures, I might switch. Okay, so let's see, for example, something, another type of action could be something like navigate, for example, again. Navigate to Cascal restaurant.
Navigating to Cascal.
And that's actually a type of an action which is really, really much more popular by voice search. And you can imagine because while you're driving and in the car, that's kind of important usage. Some type of usage which I always actually use myself when I want to set up an alarm. I never use my hands really. I just say, okay, Google, set an alarm for in 1 hour from now.
Okay, 10:35 a.m. Setting your alarm.
And that's done. So again, that's quite fast and easier way. Okay, so let's now look into the apps. So apps are important part of this whole ecosystem, and we have to make sure that users find their answers and the experiences they want also in the apps, and the assistant should be helping towards that. So, for example, if I start by doing something like, I mean, there are different aspects there. So if I start by saying something like, French restaurants in San Francisco.
Here are the listings for French restaurants.
So you definitely know about the app indexing and the fact that some of these results have icons beside them. So what happens here is that if I click on that, I basically go to the app to the page on that app for the French restaurants and not on the web page. So that's one way of integration of search and apps. The other way is that if you directly use search to search in the apps, for example, search for French restaurants on Yelp.
Opening app.
So I used Google, the voice, but I basically filled the search box of the Yelp using the voice search in some way. You can also do actions on different apps if you want. For example, things like, OK, Google, send a WhatsApp message to Lucas.
What's the message?
I am giving a talk in San Jose, and I chose you as the person to send a message.
Got it. Do you want to send it or change it?
Send it.
Sending message.
So again, I mean, that's an easy way to really do an action in an app using the voice. Another type of action could be like playing something. Play, I feel good.
Playing music.
Hopefully no ad. Oh, wow.
Yeah, baby. Wow, I feel good. I knew that I would now. I feel good. I knew that I would now.
Okay, so again, these are all easy ways to be in search or in the assistant, and then ask for doing something in an app. I will come with some more apps-related things when I move to the Now on Tap part of my talk. So now I want to start to move to the bigger chunk of the talk, which is about context. And so context is actually used in many different ways in in the whole assistant, and from the speech recognition to the understanding to the execution of things which is happening. Let's first show some examples of speech recognition. If I say something like, "Okay, Google, how high is Rigi?"
Here is information from Wikipedia.
That's not what I said. How high is Rigi? So that doesn't work, right? Because I mean, most likely you guys also don't know what I'm saying. But if I say something like mountains in Switzerland.
Mountains frequently mentioned on the web include Jungfrau, Matterhorn, Mount Pilatus, and others.
And in fact, there's actually, Rigi is one of the mountains in Switzerland. And if now I say the same thing as before, how high is Rigi?
Rigi is 5,899 feet tall.
So same way that humans try to use context for understanding, actually, because I guess now many of you understood what I was saying after I showed you that list. Same way we're using that contextual biasing for improving the speech recognition. Let me try to actually have one harder German question. What are the opening hours of Hofbrauhaus am Platz? Okay, so that doesn't really work, but if I say tourist attractions in Munich.
Attractions in Munich include Nymphenburg Palace, Englischer Garten, and others.
What are the opening hours of Hofbrauhaus am Platz?
Hofbräuhaus München is open until 11:30 p.m.
So I definitely pronounce it really bad. I don't speak really German. And, but again, even with that very bad pronunciation, given that the context was really now about Munich and the tourist attractions in Munich, then we managed to recognize that quite better. Another example, which we actually use it a lot in our test, is the Zahn restaurant in Mountain View. You know, it's written X-A-N-H. Let's also try that one. Navigate to Zahn restaurant in Mountain View.
Navigating to Sun.
So the way that works, again, is that we use context. We understand that this is actually, I'm talking about a restaurant in Mountain View. Then we kind of reduce that context, and then we try to match towards smaller sets compared to that. Okay, so let me also show you, now that I talked about speech recognition improvement, actually how do some of the ways that you can do correct things when things goes wrong, for like the voice corrections. So if you say something like, "Okay, Google, show me pictures of whales."
Check out these pictures of whales.
So if I meant it to be the country, and now I want to correct that, I only need to say W-A-L-E-S.
Whales, here you go.
And then we understand that from the previous search, you have to understand that this is actually correction things, because, and take the query and remove the whales, the other one, and add this one. The other type of correction, which is interesting, is that sometimes you can just tap on the wrong part of the search and try to correct it that way. For example, if you say, Red Sox pictures.
Red Sox, here you go.
So actually, I meant pictures. Now, if I just tap on that, one tap on the wrong query, the wrong term, then I say pictures as one of the options. So basically, with tap, I can correct the search which I had. Again, this is a lot more has to happen in the direction of voice correction, but it's important for an assistant to help you recover from the errors which is happening there. Okay, so next I want to show you the context in conversation. So same way that human, when they talk, they don't repeat each time the terms that they're using, and we basically obviously want to interactions with your assistant to be also that way natural, so you don't want to repeat also everything again there. So let's, I try to actually do a couple of consecutive queries and read out in a more conversational contextual way. Where is Coit Tower?
Coit Tower is at 1 Telegraph Hill Boulevard, San Francisco.
So if I want to see pictures, I can say, I want to see pictures.
Pictures of Coit Tower. Here you go.
And if I want to know how tall is it? How tall is it?
Coit Tower is 210 feet tall.
So note that, of course, I'm not repeating. Who built it?
Coit Tower was designed by Arthur Brown, Jr. and Lily Hitchcock Coit.
When?
Coit Tower's built year is 1933.
So this last search was only the term when, and if we don't do the contextual rewrite and understanding, we will show the results for that term, which is some random web pages, I would say. Okay, Google, what are the opening hours?
Coit Tower is currently closed and will open at 10 a.m.
Show me restaurants around there.
Here are the listings for restaurants.
How about Italian?
Here are the listings for Italian restaurants.
Actually, I prefer French.
Here are the listings for French restaurants.
Call the second one.
Calling L'Olivier French restaurant.
So note that I did some 10, 11 queries all talking about Coit Tower. I only said one time Coit Tower. And I even ended up calling a restaurant without mentioning the name of that restaurant. And so it's actually start to work. Again, it's becoming more and more natural languagey. Again, everything was understood thanks to the context. So that's actually showing how context is important. All of these 10 queries, which I mentioned, they were understood because of the context. Otherwise, they were all random results, which is not related to what I was saying. So this was about the context of what was said before. There's different types of context that we use. There's context of, for example, what you see on the screen. For example, if I say, show me pictures of Johnny.
Check out these pictures for Johnny.
Okay, if I just say like that, show me pictures of Johnny, perhaps Johnny Depp is like the best thing you could show there, right? But if I say, roster for SF Giants.
The roster for San Francisco Giants includes Buster Posey, Madison Bumgarner, and others.
So there is one Johnny here. If at this moment I say Johnny, then Johnny is not anymore Johnny Depp. Sure should not be. Show me pictures of Johnny.
Check out these pictures for Johnny Cueto.
So you again see that this time it's not the context of what I said before, but this is the context of what was on my screen. So now let's move towards the apps and again context of the screen. Now I will be showing you what happens if I use the context of a screen when I'm in some different app. For example, here I will be in Viber this time. And so there's a chat here, and we basically are talking about going to grab dinner tonight, always talking about Cascal, and also don't forget to bring chocolate for the team. This is a chat there. So now, if I want to do something about Cascal based on this screen which is in front of me, I can just, again, ask a contextual question. I can say something like, OK, Google, how far is it?
The drive from your location to Cascal is 13.8 miles.
So note that I was in Viber, I saw something on the screen, and I have a question. And I did not need to repeat that what was on the screen. I just said it in a contextual way. So that's one example. Let's have another example of a screens. This time we go to Facebook. And my friend has posted some posts about Leo and the Revenant. And so imagine I have a question and I want to know about the cast of this movie. Again, what I need to do is simply say, OK, Google, show me the cast.
The cast of The Revenant includes Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, and others.
So assistant is with me wherever I am and tries to answer me questions about what I'm seeing. This is of course, I mean, all the examples I showed is I'm talking and I'm asking questions. But assistant should also help me without necessarily me needing to say things. Sometimes I might only need to just say, hey, help, at that level. Let's go back to the Viber example that we had. So now I'm going to show you the Now on Tap product, which is basically, at a high level, it means that help me with this page. Help me with this screen. So now I'm in the same chat, So the way that I can start a Now on tab is that I long press on the home button, and then some cards and some basically assistance cards will come for me there. So first of all, there is one card which is about the Cascal, the restaurant, with a series of links, which we can talk about this in a minute. Then there is another card which is made here, add a reminder, bring some chocolate for the team. So we understood, based on the natural language understanding, that there is a potential reminder triggering which is needed there. And there is a card for the calendar event, 7 p.m. at Cascal. And I guess so with each of these two, reminder and the calendar, all I need to do is just tap on them, and that calendar entry is being made. So let's go actually to the first one, to the restaurant. And I think I pressed on Open Table without wanting, but that's fine. So when I press on Open Table there, I reach to this page, which basically I can choose the presentation. And all I need to do for reservation is just to press on that reserve. If I press on that reserve now, I booked a restaurant for 2 people for tonight. Or, yeah, it was for tonight. So this basically means that from the moment which I was in a chat and we talked about restaurant reservation until the moment that the restaurant reservation can happen, it can be only 2 taps. So that's pretty nice. But maybe I want to have more information about that. So again, I can use the Now on tap. And let's say this time I want to see the inside. So again, I'm not typing anything and I'm not talking anything. All I'm doing is only tapping and choosing. And I can basically handle the copy-paste much easier this way. OK, so that was about the chat. Now let's go to the Facebook post that we also saw. Actually, below he's saying that he has been checking in Grand Hotel Villa Castagnolia. And if I want to again know more about this hotel, I do the same thing. Ask for assistance by pressing on the home button. This time I have a series of news about Leonardo DiCaprio and the Oscars because I was on the screen. And then also this hotel. So let's say that I want, for example, to book this hotel in booking.com. I click on the booking.com deep link there, and I go to the exact page on booking.com about this hotel. But then now it looks a bit expensive. It's 400 francs, which is more expensive than dollars. Then I might try to find another thing. Again, all I need to do is just ask for help. Maybe this time I try Expedia. Yeah, so this one is cheaper this time. So this is again showing that how quick and easy you can get things done. And let's say actually if you want to look also how the surroundings looks like, we can also do a street view. So I think we obviously are in all of this assistive product in the first steps, and there is a lot more to come. But this is just to show that how powerful these experiences can become when all of this is. So this is actually the hotel, and there's a lake behind. I guess that's quite nice. That's Lugano Lake. So that's what powerful experiences can be made there. So with that, maybe I can move back to the laptop, please, and then show you another example of context. This time I want to show you the context of location. So location is obviously used in understanding of the queries. For example, if I say restaurants, I see restaurants around me. If I see the weather, I should see the weather in San Jose now. But also we have been working a lot on the much more granular location understanding. And if you're in a restaurant and you want to see the menu, the only thing that you need to do is take your phone and say, show me the menu. And we should understand where you are, and then based on that, interpret that show me the menu is that show me the menu for that restaurant. So you can see again that this is kind of a magical experience. You just take your phone, go around, and then just ask about things which is in front of you. That's, again, all thanks to the context and thanks to understanding where the user is and try to interpret, hey, show me the menu is something which is incomplete. It needs it needs some more entity around it, and that entity normally has to be a restaurant. Let's find that restaurant. Was that user talking about a restaurant? No. Oh, but he's standing actually in front of a restaurant, so let's interpret it that way. So that's all contextual interpretation. Actually, can we please have one more time the projector on cell phone? Because I forgot to show you Google Now. And of course, again, you know the Now, but just to show that this is the proactive aspect of the assistant. So from time to time, basically, cards are coming there and for information for me. Let's quickly see my Now cards. At this moment, we have this is my Keynote calendar entry. I have a dinner now and tap. This is a hotel again. I'm staying there. So actually, if I needed my hotel, the only thing I needed is to just swipe to the right on this phone at least to get that help. And then there is, because I follow football, so there are results of the football teams which I'm interested at, and then the news which I'm interested in, and maybe the stock. Wow, stock went up. That's good. And the weather is also sunny here, not unlike Zurich. Yeah, thank you. Can we move back, please? Thank you. So yes, that's again an assistant should be also providing you information and assisting you without necessarily you need to tell the queries at that time. So with that, I will just a very quick recap of what you saw in the demos. You saw the capabilities of answering. You saw capabilities of the answering about my world and about the general world. I showed you examples of integrations of search and apps. I showed you some actions which some of them failed. I guess I was not logged in correctly, signed in correctly somewhere. And then I showed you demos of context for speech recognition, which is improving like things like Rigi, for example. The correction techniques, what happens when something goes wrong, how do you correct it? And then the different types of context, the things that you said before, what's on your screen, where you are, am I traveling, where my hotel is, and then now and tap, which now is basically just a proactive way of sending assistance information to me, and then now and tap is to help me wherever I am in easier way without necessarily needing to copy. I think one thing which is common in all of this is to try to help users save some time. And I guess the question, which is the ultimate assistant, is still science fiction. Of course, we're maybe not yet there, but I think if you put all these pieces together, the capabilities which are there, it's becoming more and more believable. And I personally really believe that something very similar to those experiences is very close to us. So these pieces are there. Things have to become more together. There has to be lots of more improvements. But technology-wise, things are really moving in that direction. So I won't call those movies science fiction. And with that, I think the future of search is actually an ultimate mobile assistant, which is helping you in your daily lives to get things done, and so that you save time and can focus on things that matter more. Thank you.